Have you ever heard of someone from a tiny mountain town who talked with trees and wrote words that felt like big hugs? We're talking about Gabriela Mistral, whose real name was Lucila Godoy Alcayaga. She was born in a small place in Chile in 1889. She grew up in the mountains, with dirt on the roads and wind whispering through the trees. She did not come from a rich family, but she loved learning more than anything. When she was just a teenager, about 15, she became a teacher in a little school. Imagine a young girl leading a room full of kids, sharing stories and poems like they were cookies. She wrote poems about love, sadness, and nature. She gave words to feelings that some people thought were hard to talk about. She started using the name Gabriela Mistral around 1908 as her special author name. She picked Gabriela from a poet she liked, Gabriele D'Annunzio, and Mistral after a strong wind from France, or maybe after another poet with that name. In 1922, she published her first big book of poems called Desolación, which means despair. 2 years later, in 1924, she shared more poems in a book called Ternura, which means tenderness. And in 1938, she wrote Tala, which means harvest or felling. All of these showed how strong her words were. She traveled to Mexico and helped with schools there. She taught classes, fixed school plans, and believed every child should learn, even if they were poor. She also worked as a diplomat, speaking for Chile in places like the League of Nations and teaching at schools in the United States, like at Middlebury, Barnard, and Columbia University. Then, in 1945, something huge happened. On November 15th, she became the first Latin American and the first Latin American woman to win the Nobel Prize in literature. People all over cheered because her words had become powerful and loved by the whole world. Even after winning that prize, she stayed humble. She kept caring about kids and people who needed help. She wrote newspaper articles and used her pen like a caring hand for poor children and families. Later, she lived in New York. She got sick with pancreatic cancer and died in early 1957 at age 67. But her poems live on, like soft clouds of words that still hug people's hearts. She once wrote poems that felt as warm as bread or like whispers of wind through trees. She was a teacher, a poet, a helper, and a traveling storyteller. And she showed that even someone from a small mountain town can share something huge, like her voice, her poems, and her heart with the whole world. Imagine you had a favorite pen name, like a secret costume name that felt just right when you write, just like Gabriela Mistral did. What name would you choose? And what would your words feel like? Warm bread, wind, or something else? All I can say is the sky's the limit, my friend. So keep learning and growing. And I'll see you next time on Fresburg Cartoon, sharing icons in Hispanic heritage.